The film I'm going to be talking about is written and directed by novelist S. Craig Zahler, who is also in a metal band. So he's done some things. He's quite a prolific screenwriter. Apparently, he has at least 20 screenplays circulating around Hollywood in various stages of development. And I think at one point one of his screenplays, which is also another Western, was actually going to be directed by Old Boy director Park Chan-wook, which I would really like to see that. And the film I'm going to be recommending, I am going to be talking about this film, but I am going to relate it to the other films that he's...
Say the name!
What?
Say the name!
Bone Tomahawk. That's the movie that I'm going to be recommending. But I am going to be relating it a little bit to his other films that he's done, because I had like a bit of a marathon where I watched that, and I really enjoyed Bone Tomahawk. I really, really liked it. And then I watched his other films, Brawl in Cell Block 99, which isn't as good, but it's okay, with Vince Vaughn. And then his big epic cop...
You mean Trump-supporting meathead Vince Vaughn?
Yeah, and his sort of right-wing cop movie with Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn where they played two corrupt cops.
So you've really been like, hopefully not absorbing any of the ideology behind these people.
No, of course not. I do not agree with any of the views of the people, and I think the studio that actually produced these movies also recently did come under trouble because of some bad things that were happening on their set, and also one of the people involved with that studio was regarded as the Harvey Weinstein of independent cinema, so that's not good.
As in, not famously good at winning Oscars, but a man who essentially committed lots of sexual misdemeanors.
Pretty much, yeah.
I love the idea of Mel Gibson getting arrested that time where he called the cops sugar tits, and just one of the policemen turning around to him being like, "Who is the dickhead now?"
Freeze, dickhead. Come on down. It's been a hard day. So, no, yeah. Bone Tomahawk was a film that I've been meaning to watch for a really long time, mainly because I love Westerns and I love the horror genre, and I was curious to check it out. It was his first film, and it takes place in a town called Bright Hope. The sheriff of the town is Kurt Russell, and he has a backup deputy called Chicory, played by Richard Jenkins. And in the town, it's there's not a lot of people around and I read a bit of the script. It sort of explained that everyone's off at some festival thing, yada yada yada. It's not really important.
Burning Man.
Yeah, something like that.
You're all at Coachella, sorry.
Yeah, and you're also introduced to Patrick Wilson's character, who is married to a very young woman who's played by an actress called Lily Simmons. She's the doctor's assistant. And in the saloon, there's a drunk man played by David Arquette, who they're like, oh, this guy's a stranger, and he was out in the woods by the cemetery burying something. And so they kind of talk to him, and he starts a fight. They arrest him, and then Lily Simmons is brought over to the jailhouse to basically, tend to his wounds because he did get shot in the foot by Kurt Russell. And what happens the next day is the bartender goes to the sheriff, and he's played by a great character actor called what's his name? Fred. His name is Fred Millimed.
Winston. Oh, what? Fred? What?
I think he's. Have you seen Fargo season 3?
No.
No, he's in that. He's a great character actor. He's also in one of the Coen Brothers films, Serious Man. I've probably got his name wrong, so I'll look it up later. So he comes to the sheriff's house and said, sorry to bother you, Sheriff, but I went to the stable to check on my horse, and the stable boy was dead, mutilated. And I went to go to the jailhouse to tell them what happened, but there was no one there. And then all they find is the doctor's assistant is missing, the other deputy that isn't Richard Jenkins is missing, and also the prisoner that they arrested is also missing. And all they find in the sheriff house is this very weird arrow. And they go to, and then, Kurt Russell is basically... to Chicory, played by Richard Jenkins, as I said, he says, go get the professor and meet me at the saloon. And when they get to
This sounds amazing. I love the sound of this. And
they go to the saloon, and the professor is a Native American, wearing a suit, and he's played by actor Zahn McClarnon. So if anyone's seen Fargo season 2, he's he the guy in that? Yeah, he's the guy in that.
So cool.
Yeah, and Kurt Russell is basically like, do you know what this is? Do you know who this arrow belongs to? And he's like, yeah, I do. I have an idea.
Is this your homework, Larry?
Is this your homework? Where's the fucking money, you little brat? and things. And sorry, what a contradiction.
Do you see what happens, ladies?
You see what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. Sorry. So he's like,
can't do this every time.
and he basically, Kurt Russell is like, do you know what this tribe belongs to? And he says like, this arrow doesn't belong to a tribe. And is like, what kind of a tribe doesn't even have a name? And he's like, well, what kind of a tribe doesn't have a name? Doesn't have one. These people are cave dwellers, and they're troglodytes. And he basically says, what he describes them as people who would rape and eat their own mothers, and Kurt Russell's like, do you know where they are? I have an idea. You going to take us to them? I won't. Why? Because you're an Indian? No, because I don't want to get killed. And
are you just reciting the script?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so how long have we got? I mean, I do have other things to do.
So yeah, so it's a la The Searchers. People have been captured. They go off. Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson plays the character Arthur, whose wife has been kidnapped. He has, he's got a busted leg, so he's like riding a horse with a crutch. And then he goes with Chicory, played by Richard Jenkins, and also another character who's this very sort of this kind of dandy character played by Matthew Fox called Brooder, who has he's a little bit interested in Patrick Wilson's wife. And there's one moment in the big saloon scene, where he's like, I'm the only person here that's ever actually killed Indians. And the professor's like, that's an ugly boast. It's not a boast, but a fact.
It sounds like it's got a real, like, Cormac McCarthy.
It is a bit Cormac McCarthy. It has a lot of... It's like a mix of a John Ford Western, a Howard Hawks Western. It has the vibe of a Sam Peckinpah Western, and it's mixed in with like the tone of books written by Stephen King, Jim Thompson, and of course Cormac McCarthy. And the writing is so good. I mean, it's easy to compare S. Craig Zahler to someone like Tarantino, but I would compare the writing a little bit more towards David Milch, because it has that kind of poeticness to it.
And what about, it's supposed to be quite gory, this film, right?
Oh, yes. There's like one scene in the film. There's one particular scene in the film which is just so graphic. And I've seen a lot of horror films with various different levels of gore, but this moment, holy shit, I wanted to either vomit or faint or a little bit of both. It was quite like, ugh. And it's done practically, and it's
is it like the Thing level of like sort
of... but it's the sounds, and it's the blood and stuff, and it's just like,
I'm like dreading what this even is. This is the kind of thing, I mean, I do really want to watch this film, but because I've heard about, I think someone described on a different podcast exactly the bit you're talking about, and I've heard about that, and I am frightened to watch this movie.
It does go pretty graphic in the last like 30 minutes of the movie. But yeah, I mean, it's not like From Dusk Till Dawn, which it starts off like a crime film and then it turns into like a vampire film, and like everything kind of fits really well together, and it also, it fits well into the landscape has this very kind of infernal, dangerous quality to it, and like the majority of the film is these four guys riding off, trying to find these people and, and rescue their, the townsfolk and things like that. So there's a really good... I mean, the one thing I will say about S. Craig Zahler, he does like his films on the long side. Like, this film just clocks in over 130 minutes.
So, yeah, just like over 2 hours, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I didn't have much of a problem with the length. I think he's paced it out really well, and there's a lot of really great character... interplay, like Brooder played by Richard Jenkins. Chicory played by Richard Jenkins. He just steals the whole film. He's such a like delightful presence. I would compare his relationship with Kurt Russell in the same way, like it's John Wayne and Walter Brennan from Rio Bravo. It's that kind of dynamic those two characters have. And
Question for you.
Yes.
Should I watch this with, my wife? My wife? No, Lily. Should I watch this with Lily, or should she give this a miss?
She should. Well, yeah, she should probably give this a miss. Yeah.
Oh fuck. Okay, it's that bad. Okay.
Yeah, it's that bad. I mean, the first scene of the movie is a guy in a close-up getting his throat slit. That's how violent this movie is.
Okay.
But it's got some great dialogue. Like, one of my favorite lines in the movie is from Richard Jenkins when he says, Mr. Brooder educated two Mexicans on the meaning of manifest destiny.
Jesus.
So
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
I do feel like as a Western expert, I don't know what you'd call me, someone who's watched a lot of Westerns.
yeah,
If you do anything for 10,000 hours, you become an expert in it. And I've definitely done that with Westerns. So I, yeah, I feel like I should watch it, but maybe under the right circumstances.
yeah. I think you should just, yeah, if you feel like, I think it's one of those movies you kind of have to like prepare yourself for, given the sort of the nature of the film and the violence and stuff. But you know, it's not
So
like,
you'd say this should come with quite a hefty content warning for people who are worried about
yeah,
gore and
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
body horror.
I think, you know, I think if you I watched like all his 3 films in one go, spread over like 2 or 3 days, and you know, a lot of his films do have quite like he tends to push the boundaries of how much violence people can take, and there's also this kind of, particularly in Dragged Across Concrete, which is the cop film with Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn, there is this kind of like reflective nature in the violence and how it, like, the world and how things are kind of shape the characters and things like that. And I think that's a really, really cool aspect of his movies, and this sort of ponderous feeling. And I mean, I feel like Bone Tomahawk is his best movie. I think the other 2 films, I prefer Dragged Across Concrete more than Brawl in Cell Block 99, because Brawl in Cell Block 99 is like a 90-minute grindhouse 70s film that's been stretched out into 2 hours, and it's not as tight as Bone Tomahawk is. And Dragged Across Concrete is entertaining, but it is a cop film with Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn playing corrupt cops that's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, that seems like it's asking a lot.
Yeah. And
okay, well, I'm gonna try and watch this at some point.
You should definitely give it a watch. I think you know, Kurt Russell's great, the cast is great, the writing's really good. It's good fun. I mean, it's a low budget movie, $1.5 million, and the movie looks fantastic.
Wow, God, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
they did that. Well, cool. All right. Well, I mean, content warning for everyone out there.
Yes.
Be careful.
Yes.
It sounds like it's a pretty intense movie.
Yeah.
So.
Just be warned. This is a very violent movie and not for the squeamish.